Every level of cybersecurity explained. Level 1. Personal Cyber Hygiene. This is the lock on your own front door. The first layer that decides whether you're an easy target or a boring one. One simple rule defines this level. You reduce risk by removing low-hanging fruit. Strong, unique passwords. A password manager so you actually use them. Two-factor authentication on everything that matters. Automatic updates on by default. And a brain that pauses before clicking. That's the whole game here. Turning yourself from click happy into click skeptical. Day to day, this level looks ordinary. Your browser warns you when a site isn't using HTTPS. Your phone nags you to update. Your email flags messages that smell like phishing. The fake verify your account bait designed to steal logins. You stop reusing the same password across accounts because one leak should never open all doors. You learn that free public Wi-Fi can invite a man-in-the-middle eavesdropper, so you avoid logging into banks on coffee shop networks. And when a random attachment arrives, you don't just check. You delete first, ask questions later. But here's the catch. Attackers automate the basics. They blast millions of fake emails, guess weak passwords at machine speed, and buy old credential dumps for pocket change. If your habits are sloppy, you don't get targeted, you get scooped. So level 1 fights automation with automation. Your password manager generates 20-character nonsense. Your authenticator app makes stolen passwords useless. Your devices update at 2 a.m. while you sleep, quietly patching yesterday's holes before today's scans find them. Examples are everywhere. Your mom's laptop stops a malware download because Smart Screen blocks it. Your bank texts a one-time code that a thief can't read. Your Apple/Google account nudges you to review sign-ins so you catch the weird login from somewhere you've never been. Even your router helps. You change the default admin password, disable WPS, and name the Wi-Fi something that doesn't reveal the brand your neighbor knows how to hack. Small moves, big surface area removed. Unlike the levels above this, level 1 doesn't need a security operations center or fancy dashboards. It needs defaults that favor safety and a user who knows the common tricks: phishing, fake invoice attachments, urgent "we locked your account" messages, and miracle giveaways that ask for your card to confirm. You turn on device encryption so a stolen phone is just an expensive brick. You back up important files so ransomware can't hold your memories hostage. You use separate emails for shopping, banking, and throwaway sites so spam doesn't follow you into the vault. You can spot this level when you feel slightly inconvenient and proud of it. The code prompt when you log in. The extra tap to approve a sign-in. The update you install instead of postponing. That friction is security doing its job. It's not glamorous, it's not cinematic, it's protective boredom, and it blocks most of what would have hit you. And remember the baseline. No hygiene means no chance. This is the cheapest, highest ROI defense you'll ever deploy. Get this wrong, and nothing above it matters. Get it right, and you're ready to move from personal locks to perimeter defenses, where networks, not people, become the target. Level 2. Perimeter defense. Now we zoom out from the individual to the network. The invisible walls surrounding every organization's digital city. This is level 2. Perimeter defense, where cybersecurity stops being personal and starts being architectural. If level 1 is about locking your own doors, level 2 is about building a wall around the neighborhood. Firewalls, intrusion detection systems, virtual private networks. These are the sentries that watch every byte trying to get in or out. Every company, school, and government agency has this digital perimeter. It decides who's allowed to talk and who's shut out before they even say hello. Here, the main principle is trust nothing by default. The firewall examines every packet, the smallest unit of digital conversation, and filters anything that looks out of place. If an employee's laptop suddenly tries to contact a known command and control server, it's stopped before it can even dial out. If a flood of junk traffic starts hammering the servers, anti-DDoS protection absorbs or reroutes it before the site crashes. The classic setup used to be simple: a secure internal network protected by a wall facing a dangerous internet. But the modern world broke that model. Employees work remotely, data lives in the cloud. Now the perimeter follows the user instead of the building. That's where VPNs and Zero Trust Network Access (ZTNA) come in, encrypting connections, verifying devices, and continuously checking identity, no matter where someone connects from. It's the digital version of scanning everyone's badge every time they move through a door. Companies deploy intrusion detection systems (IDS) to monitor suspicious activity, like an alarm that listens for sounds instead of motion. The smarter ones upgrade to intrusion prevention systems, which not only detect, but automatically block threats. Layered together, these create what's called defense in depth. The idea that even if one wall falls, the next will stop the intrusion intruder. But here's the catch. Walls only work if you know what you're protecting. Many attacks bypass perimeter defenses because insiders open the gates, sometimes by accident, sometimes by design. A misconfigured cloud bucket can leak millions of records faster than any hacker could steal them. That's why the modern perimeter isn't a wall anymore. It's a living mesh, constantly updating, learning, and shrinking to the shape of the data it protects. You can spot this level when you see network maps glowing with firewall rules, encrypted tunnels, and access control lists longer than novels. It's the hum of routers inspecting every bit, the blue light of monitoring dashboards in midnight offices. The perimeter never sleeps. It can't. But once the walls are built, the next question arises. What if the enemy is already inside? That's when defense turns inward into identity, privilege, and access. Level 3, Identity and Access Management. The strongest walls mean nothing if someone walks in wearing the guard's uniform. This is Level 3, Identity and Access Management, the level where cybersecurity stops guarding systems and starts guarding people. At this stage, the biggest threat isn't a hacker breaking in. It's someone logging in, because the moment an attacker steals or forges credentials, they're no longer outside, they're you. Identity and Access Management, or IAM, is how organizations verify who you are and what you're allowed to touch. It's the security equivalent of a bouncer with facial recognition, badge scanners, and a memory of every person who ever entered. Every action, every click, every file ties back to an identity, and controlling that identity is everything. It begins with authentication. Passwords are the first wall, but they're fragile. So IAM adds multi-factor authentication, MFA, something you know, a password, something you have, a phone, token, or hardware key, and something you are, a fingerprint or face. Even if a hacker gets one, they need all three. That's why most modern breaches fail not at the network level, but at the login prompt, because MFA stops them cold. Next comes authorization, deciding who gets what access. A doctor should see medical records, not payroll data. An intern shouldn't have admin rights. IAM enforces this through role-based access control, RBAC, granting privileges based on what people need, not what they want. This concept is called the principle of least privilege, the idea that every account should have the bare minimum power to do its job, nothing more. Because power, online, is always a liability. But there's a deeper layer, continuous verification. Zero trust frameworks assume breach. They don't stop verifying once you're in. Every action is analyzed for risk. Logging in from a new country at 3 a.m.? Suspicious. Suddenly downloading terabytes of data? Red flag. Modern IAM uses machine learning to flag these behaviors in real time, sometimes locking accounts before damage happens. Then there's the invisible army of service accounts, non-human identities that connect systems together. They run scripts, update databases, sync backups. If compromised, they can quietly exfiltrate gigabytes without raising alarms. That's why IAM doesn't stop at people. It governs machines too. You can spot this level when logins take an extra beat. When you scan your face or tap your UB key. When your company's dashboard asks, "Are you sure this is really you?" That friction, that moment of pause, is the sound of the gate checking your DNA. IAM is the internet's trust engine. Get it wrong, and every other defense becomes decoration. Get it right, and you can finally know who's in your system and who's pretending to be. But once you've verified identity, a new problem emerges. Not every attack comes through the front door. Some slip in quietly through code itself. That's where cybersecurity meets programming, and the next layer begins. Level 4, Application Security. Now we reach the layer where every line of code becomes a potential entry point. This is Level 4, Application Security, the digital immune system that decides whether your software protects your data or hands it away. At this level, hackers don't attack your firewall. They attack the code inside your apps, the logic that runs your website, your bank portal, your favorite social network. A single vulnerability here can bypass every security control above it. That's why most modern breaches don't happen through brute force. They happen through bugs. Think of an application as a castle built from millions of bricks, each line of code a brick written by a developer who's human, tired, and sometimes careless. If one of those bricks is cracked, someone outside will find it. SQL injection, cross-site scripting, XSS, buffer overflows, insecure APIs. These are the crowbars of the digital world, and they work frighteningly well. That's why modern development teams live by one rule. Security has to be built in, not bolted on. Every stage of the software lifecycle, from design to deployment, needs security baked into it. This philosophy is called DevSecOps. It means developers, security engineers, and operations teams all work together, continuously scanning, testing, and fixing code before it goes live. Before a release, automated scanners comb through millions of lines looking for patterns of weakness. Static application security testing, SAST, checks source code before it compiles. Dynamic application security testing, DAST, attacks running apps to see what breaks, and penetration testers, ethical hackers, manually probe systems to find what the scanners miss. But security doesn't end once the app launches. Each update, each new dependency, introduces risk. Attackers hunt for outdated libraries, like Log4j, which in 2021 exposed millions of servers worldwide. A single missed patch can turn an entire network into an open door. That's why vulnerability management is constant. It's not secure once, it's secure always. Cloud-native apps add another twist. They're built from containers and microservices. Smaller, faster, but more exposed. Securing them means scanning every image before deployment and limiting communication between services through network segmentation and API gateways. Even one misconfigured permission in a Kubernetes cluster can leak terabytes. You can spot this level by its paranoia. Developers whisper about threat models, run penetration labs, and celebrate no findings reports like trophies. They treat every user input as hostile until proven innocent. It's not cynicism, it's survival. Application security is where cybersecurity meets creativity. It's both shield and scalpel, precise, continuous, and always learning. Because once the code is safe, the next target becomes everything underneath it. The machines, networks, and humans holding it all together. That's where defense becomes orchestration, and it leads straight into Level 5. Level 5, Network and Infrastructure Security. This is the skeleton of the internet, the highways, cables, routers, and data centers where every signal travels. It's Level 5, Network and Infrastructure Security, the layer where a single misstep can bring an entire organization or a nation to its knees. Here, cybersecurity isn't about individuals or apps anymore. It's about infrastructure resilience, keeping the digital arteries flowing no matter what tries to clog them. Because in this realm, downtime isn't an inconvenience, it's war. This level defends against large-scale coordinated attacks, distributed denial of service, DDoS floods, supply chain compromises, and zero-day exploits buried deep in firmware. These are attacks that don't knock politely. They slam the door with gigabits of traffic until the hinges break. Defending against them means thinking in physics, not software. Bandwidth, latency, propagation, redundancy. Organizations build redundant networks and geographically distributed data centers so that even if one region fails, others stay online. They deploy intrusion detection sensors across routers and switches, scanning for anomalies in packet behavior. They isolate critical systems through network segmentation, separating the crown jewels from the public-facing chaos. It's like keeping the vault miles away from the lobby, even if they share the same building. At this level, the focus shifts to visibility. You can't defend what you can't see. That's why modern infrastructure runs on continuous monitoring, security information and event management (SIEM) systems that digest logs from thousands of devices and flag unusual behavior in real time. If an employee workstation suddenly starts probing internal servers, alarms ring before lunch. If a router sends traffic to an unknown IP range, it's cut off instantly. Infrastructure security also deals with the hidden foundation, the firmware and hardware that software stands on. Hackers have learned to plant persistent malware inside BIOS chips and network interfaces, infections that survive wipes and reboots. To counter this, defenders use trusted platform modules, TPM, secure boot, and hardware attestation, ways to ensure a machine's brain hasn't been rewritten while you weren't looking. The physical world matters too. Data centers use biometric locks, man traps, and 24/7 surveillance. Power redundancy keeps systems alive through blackouts. Cooling systems maintain stability so that racks full of GPUs don't melt mid-training. Even fiber cables under the ocean are guarded. Some lines are armored, others buried, because sabotage doesn't always require a keyboard. You can spot this level when cybersecurity teams start speaking in milliseconds and megawatts. When they talk about packet loss, like doctors talk about heartbeats. Because in this layer, the network is the organism, and security is its pulse. But even with perfect networks and firewalls, something unpredictable remains. People, the weakest link, the strongest opportunity, and the only part of cybersecurity that no software patch can fix. Welcome to Level 6. Level 6, Human and Behavioral Security. At this level, the firewall isn't in the server, it's in the mind. This is human and behavioral security, the layer where the battlefield shifts from code to psychology. Because the truth is simple, the easiest system to hack is still the human using it. Every phishing link, every scam call, every social engineering attack works because it targets instinct, not logic. Hackers don't need to crack encryption when they can manipulate trust. They impersonate bosses, send urgent invoices, mimic IT help desks, and exploit curiosity faster than any virus ever could. The most expensive breaches in history didn't start with malware. They started with an email. That's why Level 6 is about conditioning, not code. It trains people to recognize manipulation before it strikes. Cybersecurity awareness programs teach employees to hover hover before they click, to verify before they trust, to question before they act. Every organization running simulated phishing campaigns isn't being paranoid. It's inoculating the workforce against deception. But behavioral security goes deeper than "don't click bad links." It studies the patterns of human behavior to predict risk. Modern systems track anomalies in user activity. A sudden download of confidential data at 2 a.m., a login from 2 continents within minutes, a USB device connected to a secure terminal. All these can trigger alerts in user and entity behavior analytics, UEBA systems, AI-driven platforms that learn what normal looks like, then flag everything that isn't. Social engineering evolves too. Attackers now use deepfakes to mimic voices and faces, fooling executives into wiring millions to fake partners. They build fake LinkedIn profiles, run long-con scams, and mine social media to craft perfect pretexts. In response, behavioral security focuses on verification rituals, voice biometrics, callback policies, and multi-person approvals for critical actions. Trust becomes a process, not an emotion. And then there's the inside threat, the employee who isn't tricked but complicit. Disgruntled staff, rogue contractors, or spies with legitimate credentials can do more damage than an entire army of hackers. Behavioral analytics and strict access auditing catch these by watching intent instead of just activity. You can spot this level when cybersecurity starts sounding like psychology, when companies run social engineering drills as seriously as fire drills, when employees report suspicious messages not because they're told to, but because they want to. That's the cultural shift, turning every human into a sensor. Because in the end, technology can only defend against what it understands. People can defend against what they feel, and when the two start working together, human instinct and machine intelligence, cybersecurity finally reaches its peak. But even instinct has limits. When the threat isn't an email or a bug or a human, but something at planetary scale, defense needs to evolve again. This is where cybersecurity becomes sovereign, global, and predictive. Level 7, national and global cyber defense. This is where cybersecurity becomes civilization, where firewalls turn into fire breaks between nations, and code becomes the new weapon of mass disruption. Welcome to Level 7, national and global cyber defense, the highest layer of digital warfare, where borders are drawn in algorithms, and the front lines are invisible. At this level, cybersecurity isn't just about protecting companies or individuals. It's about defending infrastructure, economies, and reality itself. Every country now runs digital command centers, massive cyber defense operations built to monitor, detect, and neutralize attacks in real time. The US has CISA and Cyber Command. The EU runs NISA and CERT EU, while other nations have equivalents, all linked in a quiet web of international coordination. Because in the 21st century, a single keystroke can cripple a power grid, disrupt elections, or black out an entire city. This level operates in constant motion. Satellites beam telemetry to early warning systems. AI monitors network traffic across continents, flagging digital tremors before they become earthquakes. When a major bank or pipeline is targeted, response teams mobilize like emergency services, not with guns, but with packets. They isolate affected nodes, reroute global traffic, and engage digital countermeasures faster than the attack can spread. You've already seen glimpses of this world. The NotPetya attack that paralyzed logistics and shipping worldwide. The SolarWinds breach, where state-sponsored attackers compromised thousands of government systems through a single trusted update. The Stuxnet worm, silently sabotaging centrifuges in Iran's nuclear program more effectively than any missile could. These weren't random hacks. They were geopolitical operations executed with surgical precision. That's why Level 7 isn't just technical, it's strategic. Governments are investing in cyber arsenals, AI-driven defense frameworks that can autonomously detect and respond to threats, and offensive tools that can infiltrate, map, and disable foreign systems if needed. The new arms race isn't measured in warheads, it's measured in exaflops and exploit chains. Nations now test their resilience through red team simulations, mimicking full-scale digital war. They harden everything from election systems to hospital networks under programs like Zero Trust at national scale. Every device, every connection, every signal verified and logged. The most advanced systems use AI fusion centers that merge signals from telecoms, satellites, and internet exchanges into one global security map, a live radar of cyberspace itself. You can spot this level in headlines you'll never read in full. When nations suddenly coordinate technical outages. When a virus disappears overnight because someone, somewhere, flipped the right digital switch. When governments start classifying vulnerabilities like weapons. That's not coincidence, that's containment. At this level, cybersecurity merges with sovereignty. The digital and the physical finally overlap. Electricity grids, hospitals, air traffic, defense satellites. All connected, all vulnerable, all protected by layers of unseen code. And behind it all, a new question lingers. If AI now guards the gates of nations, who guards the AI? Because at the top of cybersecurity, cybersecurity, defense becomes indistinguishable from control. And the deeper truth remains: the internet doesn't end, it adapts. From passwords to governments, from personal hygiene to planetary firewalls, each level builds on the last, until cybersecurity stops being a product and becomes the immune system of civilization itself. There's a great video on the screen now. Don't miss it, okay?